One with Deputy President William Ruto, a politician many have lately been asking where he really stands on the just commenced BBI constitutional review process, from the meaning of yes and no to the interpretation of consensus. Let's now cross over to the Deputy President's current residence for that interview. He'll be speaking to Joe Ageyo. Joe, the whole nation is eagerly awaiting this interview. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Wahiga Mwaura. Yes, indeed, we are here at a time when the signature collection for the BBI bill is drawing to a close. The Deputy President is calling for what he calls consensus, and tonight we're going to understand exactly what he means by that and what now. Welcome, Bwana DP, to our conversation. It's been a while.
Thank you very much, Joe, and welcome to the Deputy President's residence in Karen. Karibu.
Thank you very much. And we'll start at the Deputy Residence in Karen, where yesterday you had some leaders here. There were 146 or so, you said. And you made a raft of what you called proposals on this bill on which the signatures are being collected right now. Who were you directing those proposals to? Who do you hope will act on them?
Joe, let me first say that even as we discuss this big subject of BBI, we have a real situation in Kenya, which I'm sure we will have an opportunity to talk about.
Yes, definitely. We will talk about a lot of things.
The serious situation we have in our country. In fact, this evening I just got an information that Dr. Stephen Mogosu, who works in one of our isolation centers in one of our counties, is now in ICU at Komarok Hospital. He's not been paid for 4 months. He has a bill of 900,000 and people who are reaching out for help. This morning, a friend of mine called Dr. Karani Washira, a former member of parliament in Laikipia, called me because his wife and son were infected with corona. His wife unfortunately has passed away after 3 days, and he's lucky that he has he managed to pull through. So even as we discuss the subject that is at hand, we need to discuss it against the background of where the country is. But to answer your question, there is a BBI secretariat. There was a BBI team that was running this whole BBI exercise. And we've gone through these motions, you know. When Kenyans were raising issues, when I spoke, for example, in Bomas, when church leaders spoke, when Muslims spoke, pastoralists, the Catholic Church, and other stakeholders, the representatives of farmers and others, certainly the BBI Secretariat is listening.
So you are hoping they were listening to you yesterday? Is there any other sort of formal process going to them, taking those recommendations, or you're hoping they watched the press conference and they're going to act on it?
It is the case. The manner in which this process has been conducted, as you are aware, when we worked on the constitution that culminated in 2010, there was a law that provided that this exercise will go in this manner, these are the people responsible, and this is the process. Unfortunately for the exercise we are engaged in, there is no legal framework. So we have to work with what we have. And fortunately, there are people listening, and changes are being made, and Kenyans are witnessing that indeed some of the concerns that have been raised have been taken on board.
But to say that there was no legal framework, I mean, some people would say the president appointed a task force, which I would imagine is within his power to appoint.
Yeah.
and they brought recommendations, and right now they are collecting signatures, which is a requirement in the law under Article 255 about amending the Constitution.
Through a popular initiative. What
is outside the law in all these things that are going on?
I think there is need to be contextualized. You know, for example, Joe, the Supreme Court already made a decision that process is as good as the result. So we need to be careful on the process. What is the process we are following? Is this a popular initiative? And if it is a popular initiative, how is it being done? Or is it a parliamentary initiative? Because that is the provision of the Constitution, Section 255, the one you have mentioned.
So as you stand here tonight, you're saying that you have absolutely no idea what procedure this attempt to amend the Constitution is following. You cannot find it in the law.
Other people, we are all in this process. At some point, maybe it will become clear, but your guess is as good as mine.
Tonight I'm interested in your views because
we do not have a legal framework that is supporting this process, like the way the 2010-205 constitution making process was undertaken. But that is neither here nor there. What is important now is that we are in this process, right? And let me tell you, Joe, I know there is a lot of push that, you know, the train has left the station. It's too late. Where were you? It's been 2 years, you know?
That's a legitimate question because you have been around.
And I did say yesterday, it is never too late to do the right thing. On the merit of what we are saying, and it applies the same. When I spoke in Bomas, when other stakeholders spoke subsequent to Bomas, there was the same argument. Why are you speaking now? Why is the church speaking now? Why is this group speaking now? But because of the weight and the seriousness of what everybody was saying, reason prevailed, and the promoters of BBI took on board what Kenyans said, including what some of us said, including what the church said, including what other stakeholders said. And I think in this country, it is important for us to listen to one another. And that is why I have said, and I have been consistent, and up to now, I still believe that we shouldn't have a win-lose. We should have a win-win.
I appreciate that, and
it is possible.
And we will define that.
And through consensus, we should be able to get
ourselves
there.
And we'll define that in a moment. But what I'm trying to get at, tonight you're saying this process is essentially illegal. You're saying that you want consensus, and you're not going to go to the BBI Secretariat where they have been collecting signatures and doing all of these things. And you're still telling us you're not saying no in this referendum?
You see, the words, what you have said are your words. They are not my words. Yeah, I'm very careful on what I say because I hold myself to account for everything I say. I have told you that this is a constitution-making process. The constitution is not about the people promoting. The constitution is about every Kenyan, myself included. As a patriot, if the constitution of Kenya is being amended, and I said in Bomas, I do not have the luxury to stand aside and say, since I am not a promoter of this exercise, I do not want to do anything about it. Because if I don't do anything about it, we will end up with a document, and if the wrong thing happens, what happened to that gentleman in Germany's Hitler's Nazi movement, where there was Martin Niemöller, Martin Nimla was a Lutheran priest. And he said the following, finally, because he ended up in a detention camp. So Martin said, when they came for the socialist, I did not speak out because I wasn't a socialist. When they came for the trade unionist, I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. When they came for the Jews, I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. Finally, when they came for me, there was nobody to speak. What I'm saying is the following. I am here. I am a Kenyan. Something is happening to the Constitution. And it is my duty. I do not want to say, I do not want history to judge me that William Ruto was there. He was the deputy president. He knew something that was not right was happening. He didn't say it. He had good ideas on how we could end up with a better document. He was selfish. He did not step out to say, I think this document can be made better this way.
But Wanadipi, who would believe you when you say that, when in fact on the 10th of August when we spoke here, you told me that, I hear they are doing something, do you know what they are doing? You said a few weeks after that, when you were meeting some MCAs in Sugoi, you said that you hear that they are doing something. Wacha watengeneze huko hiyo katiba, watatuambia ni nini wanatengeneza. That doesn't sound like someone who is invested in this process, who wants to make it better.
Let me tell you,
you sound like a bystander who is coming to derail the process.
There is a history to that. For your information, Joe, you had my boss, the president, say in Bomas that I participated in the appointment or in the nomination of the people who eventually became part of the BBI committee, which is the truth. But when we were nominating those people, changing the constitution was not part of their brief. And it was very clear. It was not part of their brief. That's why, if you look at the nominations that came from the Jubilee side, we are actually nominating people whose brief was to bring people together, generally peace meetings. That's why we have, we nominated the chairman of the Kisii Council of Elders. We nominated the chairman of the Kalenjin Council of Elders. We nominated Leshomo, who I have been on peace caravans with her in Samburu. That was the frame. It was not about the constitution. But with that as it may, when this exercise was concretized into a constitution, then it was necessary for us to step in and say, okay, let's look at what proposals are being made, right? And you agree with me, Joe, that some of the interventions that we have made were not unreasonable. That's why today the issues on IEBC and appointing IEBC and appointing politicians or political parties appointing people into IEBC had been dropped because it would compromise the independence of the IEBC. The same thing with the Police Service Commission, that if we introduced ministers and politicians to run the police, it would undermine the independence of the police and it would take us back from where we came from. Same thing to matters to do with judiciary. Same thing to the matters to do with Senate. Meaning that the people who are promoting, the promoters of BBI are also intelligent and reasonable people. They are listening to reason. And the rest of us, and every Kenyan who believe they have an input to make this process, because once it becomes a matter about the constitution, you would be very unpatriotic if you have good ideas and you didn't want to contribute.
So did the president lie to you when you were appointing these people, or did he renege on the promise? Have you asked him why these people ended up changing the constitution, yet you contributed to naming people to that committee?
Joe, I think it's only fair not to use very harsh words. I don't think the president of Kenya can lie to anybody, right?
Just help me understand. Maybe maybe there are people.
You never know. Maybe, as the thing went, it evolved. and maybe other issues came up, and it became necessary for them.
And you were not told
to recommend constitutional changes.
Any
and
average person.
For a long time, this process was largely between the president and the former prime minister, and I think the people in the former prime minister's corner were uncomfortable with my participation, and I didn't mind, allowing the process. In fact, I had made a comment that I would maybe concentrate on running the Jubilee agenda, right? Once this is formalized and we have a final position, the rest of us would come, make whatever contributions we have, and then take the process forward.
But when a DP, why I keep going back to this is as follows.
Yeah.
You're saying that this process, one, is outside the law.
Those are your words.
No, you actually said
mine.
that there's no legal framework. In English, that really just means it is outside the law.
There is no legal framework, but that does not mean it is illegal.
No, legal framework means it's happening within the context of the law, isn't it? That is what
I'm telling you. There is no legal framework guiding this process the way we had a legal framework when we were doing the CKRC law, for example.
So you nominated people with that in mind, but be that as it may, the president, because he has been promoting BBI, so for some reason the president went ahead with a process that changed the agenda of what you had agreed, the two of you. And you're telling me that it is not reasonable for someone to conclude that either the president did not honor what you had agreed, or somehow he lost the control of that process to some other people.
Well, maybe if you find the president, maybe you can ask him that question. But I've told you from where I sit.
I imagine you know he's
from where I sit. The original agreement was that there was no constitutional changes, but along the way, things can happen. Along the way, maybe after the peace meetings and whatever it is that they got along the way, it became necessary to make recommendations on changes to the constitution. And I have absolutely no problem with that, because we are here. This is our country. And I have said, out of patriotism and the fact that this is now a process that is going to change our constitution, and because the president of Kenya, who is my boss, is involved in this process, it is my duty to make sure that I make my contribution to make this process now as good as it can get, and to ensure that it eventually succeeds and we manage to bring about a better outcome in the best way possible. And that is why I have gone out of my way.
We need to take a break
to make my contribution. And I have all the way insisted that we must not make this process a divisive process.
All right, thank you. We are taking a short break here. We are speaking to the Deputy President on the BBI process, what's really going on, and he's explaining his side of the story, as it were. We'll be back after a short while with the second part of our interview.
There is milk that loves you. With Gold Crown lactose-free milk, you can enjoy the richness of natural cow's milk without any of the digestion discomfort. Gold Crown lactose-free. Milk that loves you.
Mimi ni Inspector Mwala na nataka kukupasha hivi. Huu ni mwezi wa Disemba na watu wanaendelea kuzichukua 1,100 kila siku. Mambo ni kujipanga na view sasa. Christmas yako itakuwaje usipochukua zako? Ngoja usikie msindi wa leo. Hello, naongea na nani?
Mimi ni Patrick Baraka kutoka Kilifi County huko.
Leo nataka kukuambia maajabu. Umejishindia shilingi 1,100 za jipange na view sasa.
Hey wala.
Utazitumia vipi ndugu yangu pesa hizi zimekufikia?
Mimi nanunua mashini yangu za kufanyia kazi. Alafu nanunua mashini za kufanyia kazi, alafu niongeze materials.
Imagine hivyo ndio zinaenda. Wewe sako utachukua lini? Jipange na view sasa.
Kushiriki ni rahisi. Nunua content ya View sasa kwa shilingi 99 kupitia paybill number 483888. Account number weka jipange. Utapokea content yako na pointi 99 za kuingia kwenye draw ya kila siku. Nunua content nyingi uwezavyo, uongeze nafasi yako ya kushinda.
Superior stain removal na mwosho moja just got more affordable na 10 bob too.
This year, we've all had to readjust our vision. Nothing was the same, and everything we took for granted went away in a flash. Veil and triumph rose above the challenges, and the year that was 2020 saw marketers develop 2020 vision, seeing 2020 through not a lens but a mask. This year at MSK Awards,
Geisha aloe vera and honey, made with the goodness of aloe vera to calm and refresh your skin.
Be strong and last long.
How powerful is the healing power of Vaseline? We applied Vaseline jelly to one leaf, the other we left alone. After just a few days, the difference is visible. Nothing locks in moisture better to keep skin restored. That's the healing power of Vaseline.
In Kenya, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. Brushing with Pepsodent removes bacteria and repairs tiny holes before they become cavities. Because every smile matters.
I wish I could have soft and glowing skin.
New Geisha Black Soap. With activated charcoal to give you soft and glowing skin. New Geisha Black Soap and New Geisha Moringa.
Watoto wangu we, mimi baba yenu, nimeleta nini? Biskuti gani? Gani mnapenda? Gani mnataka? Ati nini?
Yummy, tasty, eat, Lego!
Kula biskuti kula! Yego!
Kula biskuti, kula Yego!
To help fight the spread of coronavirus, learn Lifebuoy's hand washing habits. Wash hands with soap or use an alcohol-based hand sanitizer. Together, let's help fight the spread of coronavirus in Kenya.
welcome back. We are interviewing the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, here at his residence, and we are talking about BBI and the Constitution. Let's get to your specific proposals.
Yeah.
You made them out there yesterday, and one of them is what you're calling a multiple choice referendum. What is that?
Joe, we made actually about 3 or 4 proposals.
We have time for them.
Yeah, so one, we said that we need to relook at some items of the content. For example, yes.
With respect, I'll get to the content.
Yes. So you want me to process?
Yes.
Okay. We believe that it is possible to have a structured referendum which gives Kenyans an opportunity to vote for different sectors and different articles independently. When we say that, we know that, for example, we are going to touch on largely about 6 areas. And these 6 areas, Kenyans can express their view independently of one area to the other. And there is value in us giving Kenyans that opportunity, because there is a tendency for those of us who are leaders to take ordinary people for granted, that they don't know, that it's too complex. And you can even see that thread of us trying to take advantage of ordinary people.
So you're saying these should be separate questions for
even this whole process, you know? Even when we are giving out, if you ask today, how many Kenyans have read the text of BBI? Very few. But we are rushing them because, in our opinion, what they think doesn't matter, right? And you know, we have to change the whole paradigm on how we take the people of Kenya.
I understand
and that is why.
So let's talk about
allow
this.
Me, that's why you see that even in the text of this constitution this time round, we have actually put there, thanks to push from all sectors, Article 11A, that even speaks to the business of ordinary people, which has never been in the Constitution. Because we need to have a whole paradigm shift on how we view the people we lead. And we must accept that their views, their concerns, their ideas, their proposals also matter.
And, and they are the people we're talking about.
That's why I'm saying, this time, what we are saying, instead of confronting Kenyans with say yes or no, we have Kenyans who have no issue, for example, with 35% going to counties. But they have an issue on, say, the ombudsman with the judiciary. Why would we force citizens to say, if you are voting for 35% going to counties, then you must vote for everything else that is there.
But Dr. Ruto, you know that at some point a choice has to be made, because look, for example, each of those articles that you talk about would also have sub-articles. For example, I'm thinking about, say, Article 151 on the office of the Prime Minister, for example. So what if I like sub-article 2A, which gives the Prime Minister power, for example, to lead government business in the National Assembly, but H, which talks about supervising government business, would you say now we need to have another question on the A and the H?
You are not a legal expert, Joe. That's why you're talking that way.
Can you imagine what the other?
No, let me just help you. Experts can be able to package the sections that go together. And this is not something we are doing for the first time in Kenya, for your information. Many countries, let me tell you, next week, Liberia, which is a Commonwealth us, is going to vote on a multiple choice referendum with 3 different issues, and the Supreme Court in Liberia identifies that you can vote for them independently. New Zealand, which is also another Commonwealth country, has voted on a referendum with 7 issues. Switzerland, Peru, Ecuador, name it, even in the US, even in the election that just took place. So what I'm saying is presenting a multiple choice referendum is actually giving the Kenyan people the latitude to make a decision on an article by article basis. It is actually the best way we should fashion our referendum. And for your information,
let's just be practical.
Allow me
we are
to
in
make,
Kenya. Just be practical.
Allow me to make this. For your information, our parliament is already fashioning the referendum bill that gives a possibility of us going to a referendum with options.
Yes,
so it is not something far-fetched.
Well, it has not passed. It is not a law yet. But let's get back to this multiple choice referendum thing that you're talking about. So you want us to go to the election and do the referendum at the same time, and you're saying that in addition to the 6 questions that we usually take, we add another 6 or 7, which may have some sub-articles, even though you say they'll be grouped in whichever way, and you're saying that we have to vote on all of these things and get them all right. Isn't that just another way of saying no to this thing?
It is not. In fact, you're being simplistic.
No,
Joe.
and in fact, I am not.
You are actually thinking of how not to do it.
The IEBC. I interviewed the former IEBC chair, Ahmed Isaac Hassan, and he told me that his best recommendation would have been for us to even stagger the 6 that we already have, because it is too much. It is too much work. The electoral officials get exhausted and that sort of thing. And so he said that the best thing would be for us to not do the 6 together. Now you are here saying that we should in fact add 7 other things that people are supposed to do.
Let me tell you, Joe. You are convoluting the 2 because you want to make it look like it's not possible. But let me help you.
You're the one who said they should be done together.
Let me help you. Can we speak first about a multi-choice referendum before you convolute it with a general election? Can we start there?
I didn't mix them. So
no,
you did.
No, you just mixed it here.
No, yesterday you said they should be done together.
You want to confuse the public. You want to confuse the public because you want to show the public how it's not possible. But let me tell you, it is that same mentality that you have is what is informing the distaste and the taking for granted of Kenyans, because there is this perception, there is this narrative that Kenyans are unintelligent. You know, they cannot make these choices. My friend, we go to an election, Joe. Kenyans are voting for 6 different positions. MCA, 10 candidates. Women rep, 15 candidates. The next, 20 candidates. But Kenyans are still able to choose. Sometimes the president of a different party, governor of a different party, senator of an independent party, they are still able to choose. And they are choosing from 100 people. You want to tell me that we will go to a referendum with 6 items and this Kenyan will get so confused. No, he will not know the difference between, do you want ombudsman in the judiciary? He gets confused. Do you want 35% to be resources to be transferred to the county? You know, it is this same thing that we keep underestimating the intelligence of Kenyans and thinking that they are fools, so they will not be able to do this. My friend, I want to tell you, if there is one politician who understands the grassroots and who goes and has visited many parts of Kenya, Kenyans are not what you sometimes imagine that they are. They know what they want.
You say that politician would be you, but anyway, let's assume that what you're saying were possible. The Secretariat of the BBI says as of yesterday they had collected 4 million signatures, and in fact today they said that the process had actually been completed. So are you saying, and those signatures, by the way, were collected on the basis of the bill that is there now, as is. Are you saying tonight, is it your position today that they should throw away all those signatures and restart this process together?
Not at all.
So that they can satisfy what you want?
Not at all. It is possible Joe, before the referendum question is presented to IEBC, it is possible to make those changes.
But the people,
and I'm talking about
the people who signed, I am sure you did not, but the people who signed on the basis of the one bill.
You know, in fact, you are confusing this. We are talking process. When the people signed, they signed for the content, right? But they didn't sign to say they are going to vote yes or no. They signed knowing this referendum has these issues.
And
there is absolutely...
They signed for the bill.
Yeah, they signed for the bill, no problem.
Yeah.
They signed for the bill. But if we structure the referendum such that out of the bill, we have 6 different questions, that is what they signed for. Then they will go before a ballot box. They have this ballot paper. Item number 1, do you want 35% transfer to counties? Yes. Item number 2, do you want the judiciary to have an ombudsman? Yes. Item number 3, do you want 47 women and you want a prime minister? Talk generally about the legislature. Do you want the changes that have been made in the legislature? Yes. Do you want the changes that have been made in the executive? Yes. What is so difficult with that, Joe? What is so difficult with that?
Now, they have said they are going on. What are you going to do?
There is no problem. I mean, they should go on. The collection of signatures is the easy part, you know. 2 things are possible, Joe, and this is important for Kenyans to understand. The proposals we are making, for example, on content, on number 1, we believe that to remove the discomfort of the judiciary on the appointment of the ombudsman, and there is absolutely, even the judiciary is not refusing accountability. And we all believe that every arm of government must be held to account. But they are saying they do not want a situation where it looks like...
Who are they telling?
You? Didn't you see they made a communication? Didn't you see? So I'm
finding it very strange that you are speaking for the judiciary.
I am not speaking for the judiciary.
There are a lot of people
the judiciary
who would find that uncharacteristic, considering that some people...
is a Kenyan institution.
Yeah.
Right? It's a Kenyan institution. Joe,
which you one day, I know. 3 years ago, you referred to them as Wakora, Bwana DPU. Why would someone be surprised today that you are such a chief defender of the judiciary?
That's the difference maybe between me and you. I don't hold grudges. Yeah? If I disagree with you today, it doesn't mean I will disagree with you tomorrow. That is that's how life is, you know. And if you wrong me today, I will tell you you have wronged me. But that does not mean we become enemies.
The
fact that we took issue with the decision of the judiciary at that time did not mean that we hate the judiciary. You know, we just took issue with what they did. But that does not mean
Wakora doesn't sound like taking issue. Wakora sounds like going to the root of the ability and the independence of that court to make a decision such as nullifying the election, which was nullified.
In fact, I never used the word Wakora.
You did, and actually in Mudhurwa, you said that the judiciary should know that they do not elect the president.
Absolutely, I said that.
The people do.
Absolutely.
That was meant to say that the judiciary had, by so nullifying your election, purported to be electing the president. Isn't that interfering with the independence? That is
my opinion.
Which you are now saying here.
That is my opinion.
That
we are not talking here. We are talking about writing the constitution. When you are discussing writing the constitution, everybody,
it's your motive,
including myself.
It's your motive people are questioning. That's why they're saying this is a disguised way of rejecting this.
My friend Joe, you know, what you are doing is you're saying if you have an issue with the judiciary because of a decision they make, that means the judiciary becomes your enemy. Far from it. In fact, let me tell you one thing, Joe. When I first was elected a member of parliament in 1997, Paul Muite told me, as a new member of parliament, he told me, young man, I can see you are a very enthusiastic supporter of Kanu. But let me tell you, the best way to support a government is to criticize it when it goes wrong. Right? The fact that we criticize the judiciary when they do something we do not think they have done right does not mean we hate the judiciary. In fact, we support the judiciary. And we want to tell them so that if they have done something wrong, they should correct. So I am perfectly in order today to say an independent judiciary is good for me, whether I'm in government or in the opposition. And that is why I'm saying the issue of the independence of the judiciary, the issue of we have suggested, for example, in terms of the content, we have said the current BBI proposal as it is, we have 47 elected women in the Senate. We have removed the women who are elected in the National Assembly. We will have a nomination of close to 100 members of parliament, members of parliament in the National Assembly who are women. We are saying, instead of nominating a whole 100 women into the National Assembly, why don't we bring back the women reps? Because the principle of democracy, again, is not for me as a party leader or the next person. It is for the people to elect. As much as possible, women representation, or in fact, any representation should be a product of people electing and less about nomination. So we are saying that yes, we should have 47 women elected in the Senate, 47 women elected in the National Assembly, and then we can now discuss nominations which should be lower than 50, so that we, as much as possible, representation is by people's election. And I am sure the BBI Secretariat and everybody knows that that is reasonable. And in any case, tonight, it is good for women to be elected more than to be nominated.
Yet you're saying tonight that those women, whatever number of seats they will have in parliament, they should wait until the next election to get those benefits. Because if we do the referendum together with the elections, it means that, one, the Article 81 will not be resolved, because chances are we will still elect what Justice Maraga called in his opinion an unconstitutional parliament. So you're saying all these benefits that you think can accrue from BBI should wait for a certain time post 2022, maybe even 2027, because how do you remake the composition of parliament midstream after the election in 2022?
Let me tell you, Joe, there is no crisis about changing the constitution. We can resolve the women issue even if we don't go to a referendum, right? So the fact that we are going to a referendum means we can carry everything to a referendum. And for your information, we are saying there are legitimate reasons why we need to think and we need to consider whether it is time to hold the referendum now or we hold the referendum with the election in 2022. Let me ask you,
Joe.
You've
taken a good position already.
Let me ask you, Joe.
You've taken a
are you telling me...
You've taken a position already, haven't you?
Are you telling me you are not aware that we have a pandemic in Kenya? That there are people who cannot put food on the table.
We've had it for the whole year,
DP. No, it's okay.
It's not just come now.
But you know, you cannot say we've had it for a whole year.
And you have had many rallies out there during the pandemic.
Are you then saying, let the people die anyway because others have died?
No, I'm saying you have also held rallies out there during a pandemic.
That would be heartless. We've had to stop. We have had to stop. And for your information, Joe, I mean, please, be a bit human. In this country, we have today, on average, one Kenyan is dying every hour from corona. I have just told you the situation I was faced with today. Today, I was in Kijabe because we were launching an ICU facility, again, to support the whole process of ensuring that there are adequate facilities to treat this serious pandemic. There are Kenyans today who have lost loved ones. There are people in hospital, they cannot pay bills. There is a serious financial problem in Kenya. You heard the minister.
And you say that the referendum is the only thing that can stop us from dealing with COVID.
Just hold on. We have a financial situation in the country. Today, as we talk, we have to engage the IMF to reschedule our debts. The Minister for Finance was in Parliament yesterday saying exactly that. We have serious issues about how we are going to pay for hospital bills. We are going to have a meeting tomorrow with governors to discuss with them how to further our interventions on matters to do with corona. Our children are supposed to go to school in the next 1 month. We are discussing about how to buy desks, how to make sure that there are enough they should make sure that there are enough physical facilities, how they are going to have masks. Are you telling me, Joe, that with all this that is here, you do not find any merit that we can have this referendum in 2022 to save? It will cost us 14 billion in April next year, and another 40 billion a year later to do all this. I mean, surely, in a situation where the country is in a financial crisis, we are in a serious pandemic, Kenyans are asking themselves, as we talk today, doctors have threatened to strike from Monday. Why? They don't have PPEs. They don't have protective gear. Many 35 health professionals have died. 12 specialist doctors have died. Surely, Kenyans are asking themselves, are we mad?
My question to you, Bwana DP, I hear you about the pandemic. It's been there.
And it's not my creation, it's a reality.
Exactly. So many people, of course, have asked whether other things have stopped because of the pandemic. Many people have
Many things have stopped.
Many people have also asked whether, in fact, we haven't lost more than 14 billion in very unnecessary causes, people stealing and that, during this government that you're part of. Yeah. But the question I'm asking now, if they go ahead with the referendum during a pandemic, are you going to oppose the referendum?
Joe, let's not also be simplistic. The position I have taken that a referendum is possible, a win-win outcome is feasible. I have taken that position out of knowledge. And let me give you 2 reasons why I insist that we shouldn't have a divisive referendum. I participated in the referendum in 2005. I participated in the referendum in 2010. In 2005, we had a seriously divisive referendum, which led to a divisive election, and we had disastrous consequences. As a responsible Kenyan, I do not want us to travel that road again. Number 2, as I sit here, I am the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. My boss, the President of Kenya, Article 131 of the Constitution, is the symbol of the unity of this nation. I'm his deputy. I have a duty to do everything in my power to make sure that where there exists a chance for Kenyans to travel together, we must travel that route.
Are you asking him that? Are you telling him that?
I believe that there is a chance for us to have a non-contested referendum.
Are you telling your boss that?
Or a non-divisive referendum. What I talk with my boss, Joe, is not for us to discuss here. You know, that's a really...
To the extent that both of you right now, as you say, the president is a symbol of national unity, not the unity of the two of you, but
no, it's the national unity. I'm talking about
national unity, exactly. Yeah.
So it is what I'm telling you, I do not have the luxury which others have. The president and I do not have the luxury to run a process that has the potential of threatening the unity of the country. And let me tell you my position. Whether we have a referendum or not, whether the referendum succeeds or not, is not as important to me as keeping the country united. I think, to me, I place greater premium in making sure that this country stays united. And if it gets to a place where the option is to divide the country or to step back, I will step back.
That means you'll not take part at all.
No, I'm just saying, you know, I do not think we have gotten there. But my position is the following, that we should not, I will not participate as William Ruto in anything that divides the people of Kenya. I know better that we should. There is a way, and that is why I am proposing. Let us have a multi-choice referendum. What will that do, Joe? It will remove this thing of yes block and no block. We will all be yes and no, and there will be no need for all this contest, because there are people.
Does it bother you?
Strongly believe that we should have no and yes, so that we can have a competition, so that we can carry this competition to 2022. That's very.
Does it bother you,
selfish.
Does it bother you that the president doesn't seem to share this concern about national unity in the manner that you frame it right now?
I can tell you, President Uhuru, apart from being my boss, is my friend. He shares, and these are issues me and him have discussed.
Does it bother you, therefore, that in spite of those discussions, he's going ahead and promoting the BBI as is now, in the midst of the pandemic, and promoting a referendum before the election?
Let me tell you, Joe, these are discussions, especially on the matter of holding the country together. I can tell you without fear of contradiction and without a doubt that President Kenyatta shares that position with me. We have discussed that whatever it takes, in whatever format, we must not allow a divided country. Me and him have suffered as a result of a divisive process. We are not fools to travel that journey again, that road again. And therefore, I will do anything possible to push for us to have a consensus, so that we can go and make choices in a referendum, whether we do it before the election or whether we do it with the election, that give Kenyans the options to choose what they want, without the yes or no, win, lose, all or nothing.
So your condition
situation.
for
I have no conditions.
You have no conditions.
I have no conditions.
Okay, we're going to talk. We're going to talk about that in a short while, but we have to take a break. We'll be right back with the last part of our interview with the DP.
From the creators of two-time Emmy finalist, The World Cup of Hip Hop, comes the new hit show, The Mic Africa, the first primetime interactive TV format born on the African continent. A global music competition and docuseries, The Mic Africa is a window into youth culture on the streets of Ghana, Kenya, Nigeria, South Africa, Rwanda, and Mauritius. The series passes the mic to up-and-coming singers, rappers, dancers, and graffiti artists. And using the Take Back the Mic app, fans from across the globe will discover and amplify these artists as they show us how they see the world. Join us as we take Africa's hottest new talents to the global stage. Airing weekly, starting on Sunday, December 6th at 8 p.m. on Citizen TV. The Mic Africa. Who speaks for you?
Beginning of the year, nobody knew about this pandemic. Sometime in March, people started realizing that this is a problem. China, which is the largest producer of masks, with orders from all over the world, could not supply, and the prices shot up 100 shillings. At that time, when such an incident happened, everybody has to come together. Like Equity Foundation came and saying, let's try and help. They said this is what they require, give us a pricing, and eventually they started distributing to all the hospitals. We imported 20 machines to make 200,000 masks a day. In the first week of April, we were producing about 150 to 200,000 masks a day. Currently, we are producing over 500,000 a day. At 6, 7, 8 shillings a mask. Equity Foundation has done a phenomenal job. They put the producers, the suppliers, and the people who are using it together. Right now, if you go to any hospital, Mararal, Marsabit, Lamu, all the hospitals, everywhere, everybody's got PP.
There is something that drives us to become who we are.
For me, it's my family. When they're unwell, I can't function.
you feeling now?
I'm much better.
Oh, thanks to Madison Better Life. Thanks to Madison Better Life Medical Cover. They have access to the best care 24/7. Madison Group. Usibahatishe.
ORS, nourishing Shin's growth. Go Shin Shin.
There are more than 1,000 ways to enjoy Weetabix. In your cupcake recipe, replace 1 cup of flour with 1 cup of Weetabix and bake as usual.
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Weetabix.
What's more?
Weetabix is made of whole grain wheat that is high in fiber, rich in essential vitamins and minerals. Weetabix keeps you going. Do more to protect yourself and family from viruses that remain on the clothes. Separate laundry that has been exposed and do not shake to minimize possibility of dispersing the virus through the air. Soaking your laundry in water and hand washing powder does more to kill germs than just a normal wash. After washing, dry your clothes in direct sunlight. They say we do the expected. We say we're more than you expect. Sunlight, more than you expect.
What is not happening? Mepigia Royal Mabati. Hello, Royal Mabati. This is Engineer Molo. Can you deliver Mabati?
Experience the best roofing by using East Africa super brand Royal Mabati products such as corrugated glossy, stone coated classic, box profile, alloy zinc, tile varieties, all coming in different colors with free delivery countrywide.
You can order yours online. Kuna ingine inaitwa kulipa pole pole. Wewe tulia. Kitoweo ya Royal Mabati.
Royal Mabati Factory Limited. We are the best.
How much?
Hii ni so.
Hii ni 20 bob na hii ni so na zote ni the same size.
Madam, the price of mutura is calculated by the formula. The length multiplied by the circumference to the power of the kafirifiri.
While other networks discriminate, sisi hatubagui, tuna serve everybody. Get to Bonga 10 and enjoy 100 minutes Airtel to Airtel. Dial star 544 hash. Not just for a few, but for every one of you. Airtel, the honest network.
UAP Old Mutual Group is a Pan-African financial services group operating in 13 markets across Africa, offering life assurance, general and health insurance, asset management, and banking. We are proud to celebrate 175 years in Africa and 100 years in East Africa. Our strength lies in providing tailored solutions to meet your corporate needs. These include offering customized employee benefit solutions to help you attract and retain talent. We are here to help you plan for, grow, and protect your financial ambitions. Talk to us today.
Welcome back to our interview with the Deputy President, William Ruto. So the last thing I want us to talk about before we finish with this matter is what you are calling consensus.
Yeah.
Tonight we promised our viewers we are going to try and decode what you have been saying. What exactly would amount to consensus for you? At what point do you say now this is consensus?
There are consensus on three issues.
Whichever one of them,
no, I'm
all
just
of
saying,
them.
Consensus on content, consensus on process, and consensus on timing.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, we have almost concluded the consensus on content. You know, we've traveled a huge chunk of the way. What we are just asking is, why don't we get the Judicial Service Commission to do a process, nominate the Ombudsman, he be taken to Senate, approved by the Senate, appointed by the President. That way, the judiciary will not feel somebody has been parachuted to them. It's a simple thing. Number two, and I'm saying, just finalizing the content, we've also said we agree completely with the 70 seats, but there are 70 additional constituencies, because indeed there are areas that are underrepresented. The equality of representation is a cardinal principle of any democracy. And that's why we support the 70 seats. And that is why we canvassed.
In 2027?
No, we canvassed even. Those 70 were initially, they were nominations. But we said nominations will benefit an individual. But constituencies will benefit people through representation and through resources. And we are very happy that it was changed. We are only asking that 70, within that 70, maybe the IEBC be allowed to vary by up to 15 or 20%, so that we take care of some outlying areas, like the complaints we have in Kitui, in Ijara, in Garissa, in Wajir South, in Marsabit, in Kinangop here, in Kieni. Kieni is a huge constituency, for example, and in Migori. So we are accepting
just
in principle.
Let me understand this.
Just to tidy up.
So you are saying you would like those other people to accept all the things that you're asking now for it to be, because it has to be give and take. What are you willing to give?
No, but we are saying, if what we are saying is reasonable, and I believe it is reasonable. For example, Joe, we are saying women should be brought back to National Assembly for 3 reasons. Number one, we make women representation as elective as possible, not nominations. Number two, we must give women an opportunity to be nominated to cabinet, because cabinet now is being nominated from the National Assembly. We must give women the opportunity to participate in the serious business that is going on in the National Assembly, especially on matters, resources of our nation. And we must give women the opportunity to continue the good job they are doing with national government.
But aren't you also
and you see, those are reasonable things. And everybody I have talked to think, yeah, maybe we are disenfranchising women if we tell them go to Senate and they are not present in the National Assembly, and yet we have brought part of the government into the National Assembly. I think it makes sense.
Do they also tell you it makes sense to have that benefit in 2027, not 2022?
You see, Joe, we are making these proposals. We are not saying all these proposals must. We're not saying must.
Which is why I was asking, at what point?
Any proposal that is reasonable, like the other proposals we have made, they were looked at favorably, and because I trust President Uhuru Kenyatta to look at something, and when he sees sense, he goes for the sense and the reason, and I hope that this is the process we are getting into. It's not that we are trying to be belligerent, you know. We're trying to put issues, and if they have merit, they should be considered on their merit. Then number two, on process, we are saying, Joe, surely, let's just step back. Parliament is already considering a referendum bill that has options, even before we said it. Having options is not something that is going to be unique to Kenya. I have told you, next week on 10th, Liberia will be going for a referendum together with an election in Liberia with 3 different options. Many countries have done this with different options, and it's just good, you know.
Which of these things are you willing to compromise on?
I mean, if you can persuade us that any of this is not reasonable, so you have
to be persuaded. There is no problem. Every one of them for you to say this is consensus.
We are putting these things on the table. We are responsible Kenyans, especially like for me. I have a duty as Uhuru Kenyatta's deputy to assist him and to do the most that I can so that this project, which he is leading, succeeds and comes out with as best a result as is possible. That's the job of our deputy president, to assist my boss.
I understand
and
that.
Also, because I know he believes that we should not divide this country. That is why, even at this late hour, I am pushing that the best way not to divide this country to yes and no, winners and losers, all or nothing, is to take this thing to a referendum with 5 items or 6 items. Let Kenyans choose. That way, You can say it's yes to 3, no to 2, yes to 4, something like that. And then we count the votes. And that's what happens world over.
I'm just trying to understand, because this is a process that is political in nature. Most people that are talking, yourself included, are political leaders that people listen to. So the question I'm asking is, are you saying tonight that all those issues you raised out there yesterday, if
there are only 4.
If those 4 questions, if all of those 4 issues are not resolved in the manner that you'd like them to be resolved, then you are not part of what's going to happen with the referendum?
That's not what we are saying, Joe. You know, we are making our contribution. We are patriotic Kenyans. We are persuading the other side.
How many of them are you willing?
We are optimistic. You know, when I spoke, for example, in Bomas, I was not expecting that everything is going to be taken on board. And in fact, not everything was taken on board. But that does not stop me from doing the right thing. And that's why I said yesterday, and I'm again telling you today, and I'm telling every Kenyan, it is never too late to do the right thing.
We speak to a lot of people, including a lot of people who support you. And the question I'm asking tonight, even on their behalf, is as follows.
Yes, sir.
What would it take for William Samoei Ruto to take part in the referendum that is coming up whenever it comes up?
I am already taking part by making this contribution.
You said you're not going to be part of something that, in your view, divides Kenyans.
But,
so
but we are not there.
I want to understand.
We are not there.
What
Joe.
It will take out of the 4, because those
I am not there. By the way, already we have made huge progress. There are some outstanding issues. I believe that reason will prevail because we are dealing with intelligent, responsible, caring people, so that we can agree. Even if we agree midway, we have no problem. We can also agree on process.
So you're saying there's some that you can compromise?
If we agree,
you don't have to get your way in all of them?
We don't have to get our way on everything. If we agree, for example, on a multiple choice, it is another way of making sure that even if we didn't agree on some of the major things, then the people can choose from the buffet that will be presented.
Let me ask.
Finally, we are also saying, let us agree on whether to hold the election now or to hold, not the election, but the referendum, whether to hold the referendum now or to hold it along the election in 2022.
Let's talk about
it. Is a proposal we are making.
Let's talk about the process of that consensus then that you're talking about, because 2 days ago you tweeted and said, I have a constitutional duty to assist my boss, the president. We've made improvements to the BBI post-Bomas, now working on consensus for Kenyans to have real choices. I'm interested in this working. What exactly are you doing working on the consensus?
We spent almost 7 hours yesterday working, trying to hammer out a proposal.
To be fair, that was an echo chamber. Those are people who kind of share the same view. That's why you are out there saying the same thing.
Absolutely not.
But what I am saying,
absolutely not.
No, they were behind that statement.
By the way, we had a big debate for 4 hours. I mean, these are reasonable people. These are not cows. You know, they are not just following.
No, I understand.
These are people who are intelligent.
I
they are
understand
elected.
That. My point
they
is
represent
this.
People.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So where does it go from here?
So we have taken into account the progress that has been made. We have said there are still outstanding issues. We have put them on the table for others.
But which table, Bonaditi?
For others to consider.
Which table?
For others to consider.
Which table? Because as far as I am concerned, because I see what is happening, and I'm sure you do, there is President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
There is former Prime Minister Raila Odinga.
Yeah.
The two people who started the handshake, and they are pushing this BBI issue very actively.
And they are very reasonable people, by the way.
Then there is the BBI Secretariat.
Absolutely.
So I want to understand practically tonight from you, what is that step that you're taking in terms of engaging directly with any of these people to make sure that what you said out here actually goes into that? Because unless you're saying
for your information,
you're hoping they watched you and they will do something.
No. For your information, Joe, I am more responsible than that. So, I, as a matter of duty, I consult, take advice, take direction regularly with the President of Kenya because he's my boss. And I have a duty to advise him on all these things, right? So don't just assume that I am just talking gas. I'm not.
So you are advising him.
I am way.
So you are advising him on BBI.
Too responsible to do that.
So you're advising him on BBI when we are not
on all these matters. They are important to the country.
So you're advising the president of BBI as well.
And there are channels for us to consult and to make sure that we are taking the country in the direction that we are united. And part of the reason why I do not have the luxury to take this decision or go this way, you know, many people imagine, William Ruto is going to take this decision. You know, my friend, beyond William Ruto, I'm also Deputy President of Kenya, and I have a huge responsibility on my shoulders. Even as I tell you about the situation of the economy, it's because I know many of the other people who are running these processes and talking, they do not have the information that President Uhuru Kenyatta and I have. So I know what I'm saying, in short. And that's why I'm ready for us to build consensus on the content, to build consensus on the process, to build consensus on whether we want to have this referendum now or in 2022. And we should talk as reasonable people. We are Kenyans. This is our country. Even as people say, oh, you know, the bus has left the station. I don't know, the door has been shut. I mean, why you left the station going where? This is our country, my friend. And it is never too late to do the right thing. I am of the firm view that if what we are saying on its merit is something that can be considered, we can republish this bill before the signatures are presented to IEBC. We can mobilize Parliament to provide the law for us to have a consensus referendum where we are not boxing Kenyans into yes, no, we are giving Kenyans real options. In fact, if you read my tweet correctly, I have said real.
Yes, I quoted that. I'm not arguing. I'm not going there.
Options.
I'm actually I was just worried about the process, the work that you're doing towards the consensus. And now that you bring up the issue of the president, a few years ago, February last year, I think it was, when you were in London and you're speaking to the BBC, and you told Stephen Saka that your relationship with the president at that point was rock solid. You wouldn't say that today, would you?
Why wouldn't I say that?
But we have seen many indications to it. The first one, the other day, you were missing from the COVID-19 conference. You said COVID is very important, but your empty seat had to be removed. Doesn't it bother you that things like that give an impression of disrespect to your boss, who you say you have a rock-solid relationship with?
For your information, Joe, there was a reason why I was not there. There was also a reason why I wasn't in KICC. And all those reasons are reasons that are valid.
Clearly, those people who put you in the program didn't know those reasons.
I am very careful when it comes to attendance of my duties. I'm very careful.
Clearly, those people who had the program with your name on it, see, and the seat didn't know you were not coming.
That's okay. You know, it doesn't. You can be absent with a reason,
which no one acknowledged there.
Oh, is that so? Are you aware that no one acknowledged
the reason that you were not there?
No. Did you find out who from anybody?
No, I mean,
no, you're just assuming.
No, publicly.
What you're doing is you are assuming.
The normal thing,
and you see, you are
when you attend meetings, you'll be told so and so has sent an apology.
To discuss my relationship with my boss, which is not a place I discourage you from going there. The relationship between me and my boss.
Only to the extent that relationship is interfering, at least publicly, with the perception of that national unity.
Let us forget about perception.
That Perception is reality.
No,
Bwana DP.
no. Let me tell you.
Because you talked about Article 131, about symbol of national unity.
Yes.
The moment the public out here sees what looks like a difference between you and the president, it causes a rift. And you've been talking about unity.
And for your information, the president has never told anybody, in private or public, that William Ruto has absconded from duty. Neither have I complained that I have a problem with the president. Why would you?
I just cited an example that gave that.
But you know, it's an example you don't have any facts about. It's an assumption you make.
The fact that we saw was that you were there, the president was there, you were supposed to introduce the president.
You are chasing the wind there. I think my good brother, Joe, the relationship between me and President Uhuru Kenyatta is not a subject of any discussion. That is, he's my boss, and you never discuss your boss.
Okay, fair enough. Let's move to the party. This is going to be the final one.
Yes, Joe.
And a few months ago, you were at the party headquarters, and there was quite a scenario there. The president was out of the country, and you showed up with some MPs who hadn't been quite to the party headquarters for perhaps 2-3 years. And we saw rather unusual developments there. We later saw the Secretary General of the party making quite some interesting remarks to the effect that you had gone there to promote activities of a breakaway faction. When we spoke here 2 months ago, you said that Jubilee was not running properly. That was a sign, I think. Has anything changed?
Well, again, I have raised my issues with the secretariat of the party. My presence in Jubilee headquarters is not news, you know. Jubilee headquarters is the party where I am the deputy party leader. For anybody to raise any issue about my presence in Jubilee headquarters is completely to miss the point. In fact, I will be making many more trips to Jubilee headquarters because we need to prepare the party for the future. And there will be, you know, people talking, because we run a huge party, and there will be people who have these ideas, others have that, other different ideas, which sometimes is usual in political parties. But we are cut for that kind of a job. We will manage the issues of the party.
Yeah, but that was a lot more than just people uncomfortable with you going there, because we saw even a very public difference of opinion within the party about the position that Jubilee needed to take with regard to the Msambweni by-election, where you publicly said that that would not have been your view, yet the party said they're not going to take part.
No, it's not that. It's some officials had made, and they had already made a decision without my knowledge, but which is sometimes okay. But when I went there
on a big issue like fielding a candidate,
well, sometimes it happens. So you saw some of our members, for example, when we had a candidate in Kibera, some of our members went to campaign for a different candidate. So sometimes things like those happen in the party. And I said then that though my views would have been different, that we needed to field a candidate in Msambweni, since a decision had been made, I decided, okay, let's go with that decision. So it therefore means members of our party can therefore choose whoever they want to vote for, now that the party did not have a candidate. And that is what's going on. So there is no big issue. Let's not make hay out of nothing.
When I asked you in August, you said the party was not functioning properly. Has that changed?
It still has challenges, but there are challenges that we can overcome. They are not major challenges. These are challenges we can overcome.
Are you still running for president?
That is a decision that will be made further down the road. For the moment, I am deputy president. I have a job to do, and I am focused on doing it.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe, and I hope we have agreed on this, that the issues we are raising William Ruto has nothing personal to gain or lose in this referendum. I have absolutely.
I'm sure you know that the agreement you need is not with me, but
no, I'm just saying
I hear your point.
so that people don't think that we are pushing. My only stake in this referendum is, number one, to make sure that if we are changing the constitution, we are changing the constitution in a manner to make it go forward, not go backwards. Number two is that we must do it in a manner that does not divide Kenyans. And that is my responsibility. And most of that is because I also have a duty to support and assist my boss who is driving this process to make sure that the right thing happens.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Joe.
All right. Thank you very much for watching our interview here. We've been speaking to the Deputy President of Kenya, William Ruto, speaking about the BBI and related events. Thank you very much. We'll now take a short break, and Wahiga Maura will be back with the day's business news.